Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show. We're going to pick it up and continue this conversation that me and Phil are having about what it was like to be raised by an addictive parent and how it affected him and his siblings and interfered with that bonding process that most siblings go through. But Phil, go ahead and finish what you were saying about how you can't say that you and your siblings
I got 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and this whole experience of growing up, we ain't close like you would think this large family should be. There's some in a time of need, you would think that I could call on my brother or sister. No, they wouldn't. What it created was my older brother being in a gang, going to prison. My older sister, running away. Me having to take care of 6 kids that wasn't mine, 5 other ones that's under me. Then my brother that's right under me, an alcoholic. Then the sister, evil, mean, bitter, fighting, just. And then the other 2 brothers joining gangs, and then the other sister, she sleep with anybody. So because I have stepped out of this, I get to see all this. And I took a different route. But her as the mother, this is what ended up. There was a silver lining or a brightness in her life. She did get off crack.
Yes.
She went to college. She graduated. She got a bachelor's of science in social work. She did. Became a minister. Worked in women's shelter. She began to do all these things, but the trauma that she had created, she never went back to heal, because every time it's brought up, well, I don't want to hear it. That's my past. But she is not understanding that her past has created all of this with her children.
Yeah.
What's happened is the reason why we don't come together. We don't call each other. I'm in prison. I don't even call them. They are not on my call list. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't call them to say, can you, none of that. None of that goes on. They don't even do that. Even when I was out, we still didn't do that. We would get together for a holiday, but it's fake. So I stopped getting around because I'm gonna bring all of this up. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing it. You don't really fool with me like this. Why we here? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk. Let's talk really about what's going on. Why don't you call me? And then you could don't tell me, oh, well, you don't call me. You know what I'm saying? That pit pat back and forth, like, you don't call me, I don't call you. No, man, I don't call you for this reason. Right. I don't know you.
Right.
I just don't know you. I moved from Minnesota to Texas. Y'all moved back down here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got married, had a whole nother life. Y'all done come visit me number 1 time the whole 10 years I was in Texas. I ain't come up here to visit y'all. So I don't know y'all. And if I'm gonna sit around and get to know y'all, the things that y'all do and how y'all treat each other, I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all ain't cool with each other. Y'all do mean things to each other. Y'all talk about each other. Y'all cuss each other out. Y'all don't help each other. Y'all always complaining about each other. Won't borrow, want to help this or that when they need money, or I ain't watching this when kids. And you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all act more like enemies than y'all do brothers and sisters. I can't fool with that.
Right, but do you believe that is as a result from what all of y'all experienced?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I want people to try to understand, because we all have something going on in our families, whether it's addiction, alcoholism, whatever, just meanness, situation, just dysfunction.
Yeah.
However it is, this dysfunction that happens in every family, whether people admit it or not. And if you know that the dysfunction causes people to develop mentally and socially in ways that are not healthy for them and the people around them, right? Like, who's supposed to step up out of all of that and say, okay, I understand what you're going through, and try to help that person, your sibling, work through that? I mean, if nobody decides that they're gonna take the lead and try to help the people that got the same blood running through their veins, then who's going to do it? Now, we know moms is the root of it. This is the common denominator. Her pain that she went through, her addiction, caused all of this, right? it's like victims impact. It talks about the different people that get hurt out of your actions and so on and so forth, right? So we know that's the common denominator. Now, what do you do to fix it, or do you just leave it like it? Because what happens is their kids are learning from them, and this will continue on for generations and generations. All because mom did what she did. You feel me? And maybe whatever happened to her before y'all even got here. You know what I'm saying? So who's supposed to fix that?
Man, you expect the one who caused it. You would think that.
But if you have evidence that she's not strong enough to do that. She's point blank period saying, "That's my past. I don't want to hear that."
I think suffering from false hope. I think we still hope that one day our mama will return. I really believe that we, as her kids, even me, that eventually my mama she's gonna snap out of it.
Cause it had to be some period where it was good.
Yes, from ages.
You want that back.
That I think that's where all of us, like there was a couple kids that never experienced nothing but this hell.
The drama, yeah.
You know, but the ones before we seen a different. You know what I'm saying? We seen the strong black woman who worked 2 jobs, you know, and the kind, the laughing that would, you know, the hugging, the running,
the affection, all of that.
That's what I believe I could say the first 6 have experienced. The last 2 didn't. So the last 2, actually my youngest sister, she don't know any of this. She don't ever remember, and neither was my younger brother. They don't ever remember her being on drugs or going to any of these shelters because they were kids.
They was too small.
They were too small to even understand. So as they got older, they lived in the better life to where she had gotten off of the drugs. So in their mind, when we tell these stories, they can't believe that it was like that. Even when we tell them, this is what happened. You broke your leg. You jumped off of this and had to go get 32 stitches, and they was ready to take us away from her because she wasn't there, and you picked up the phone, called 911 and said somebody's dead, and
they don't have no memory.
No memory of that.
And it's kind of like, the reason I wanted to get on that is because it's kind of like when people come to prison real young or go to juvie real young, and then that's what they do. I know dudes in here, man, today that the age that they came to prison, that's the age that they function on mentally.
Yeah.
And it sounds like in a similar way that's what you're saying about your siblings.
Yeah.
Whatever age you are at the time of the trauma, when it takes hold, I don't know, when it would actually take hold, it's different for everybody, I guess. But whatever age you are when the trauma takes hold of you, that's the age that you act all the way through until you address that trauma. You could be 30, 40, 50, but you still gonna have these hurt ways that you acting out because you've never addressed the trauma. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's across the board with everybody.
I can honestly say, sitting here right now, I still react like that 11-year-old boy who stood up in front of his mama and told her, I'm ready to die.
Right.
Because here I am, 46 years old. I was standing in front of anybody's face and said, you're going to have to do it. I'm ready to die.
Right.
Not even a cognitive thought of, maybe this person will kill me, but because of this is at that moment, it feels similar to me.
Right.
So I only know this answer is to be ready to die.
And that I don't, like, clinically, I don't know what you would call it, but I'm gonna say that has become your coping mechanism, your survival mechanism. That's what you go to. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, I hear it all the time with guys in here. But again, when I have that conversation with them, they all remind me, based off of what I know about them at the particular time, they all remind me of a child.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these guys, I remember meeting them when they first came in years ago. You know what I'm saying? There's one in the unit with us right now. I remember when he came in 20 some odd years ago as a kid. And now he's in his 40s and he still, to this day, acts like a child. And he knows it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do about it? It's almost like he throws a temper tantrum when you say, bro, you should be doing better.
Yeah.
But it's almost unfair to say that to somebody that's grown up in a lot of dysfunction, that you should be doing better. You expect them to be able to do that all on their own.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. It's not fair. And that's what happens to people in here. People get thrown in here, and for whatever reason, people out there believe that they're supposed to get better. Just because they're in here and separated from everybody else, now all of a sudden, your brain's supposed to start working a different way. Somebody that grows up in a dysfunctional situation like you, with no therapy, no help, no guidance, no support from society, after you get a certain age, everybody says, you're supposed to be better. Your brain's supposed to start thinking, and that's not realistic. And you look at people out there that are going to work, holding down the house, married, got kids, going to football games and basketball games. They're going through the exact same thing, but they don't relate that to their situation. But you can see them sometimes, they be sitting out there at the baseball games or the football games or basketball game, and the referee make a bad call, they act a fool.
Yeah.
And they think it's standing up for their kid and all this. Now you're acting out like a child. What made you think that was okay?
Again, I believe it's the residual effect of that trauma that has not been dealt with. Because now that we have this conversation, all the other experiences, the molestation, the having to go hungry, the embarrassment from, the school, like all of these things play a part into just saying, you know what, I'm ready to die.
And let me ask you this, then. Let me ask you this. I mean, because I've been through things myself, and I know what I have done, and I've had some help. You know what I'm saying? My sister's a therapist. I've asked her questions. Other people that I've met throughout my incarceration that are therapists, where I talk to them, I ask them questions. And what I've learned just really watching TV or reading, you feel what I'm saying? Because people always say, how do you do it? You feel me? I want to ask you, what do you think can be done to help somebody get through past a traumatic situation? Because like you just mentioned, molestation. How would you help somebody get past that? Or just being raised in I picked that because that's very.
I don't, and even no matter what, I don't think we ever get past it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
that grief will always be there.
Well, let me rephrase it. What do you think can be done to help a person learn to continue to move forward with their lives in a positive and productive way? Right? Knowing or realizing that it happened. Whatever that nasty, evil, wicked thing was that happened, right? Purposely or otherwise. What is it that you think can be done to help a person learn to live with that in a way that is not destructive to themselves and the people around them? Because you're going to be around people.
For me, it's my relationship with Jesus Christ and believing that with my whole heart, because I used to believe in people. I used to believe like sitting across, and again, I have relationships with white people, so I believe what they said about a life and how you should be and reacted. But then as I got older and I would see them do certain things to my kind, now I can't believe you. So that messed up my whole belief system in people. So, I'm very, just me personally, I'm very sensitive about who I take as, okay, I can trust you. I can actually believe you. I gotta see more than the fruit of what you do, because it's almost like the illustration of putting a nail in a plank and pulling the nail out. That hole's still there. Or balling that paper up and spreading it back out. The paper may not be torn, but it's still got them crinkly lines in there, and it's still gonna be there. And you got to function through it. You got to be very careful, because even with me knowing what's going on, like I know what's going on. It's hard for me to navigate through it. I'm married. I got kids. I got grandkids. you know, and my wife has experienced the same trauma. You know, my kids under me have experienced different traumas as well. So how do we move forward? I want to say depend on people, but then I really wouldn't be saying that with confidence, because that person could be dealing with trauma and they could be putting on a fake, and something could come along and crack that. And then now whatever's in them is spilled on over to you, and your expectations of them have been shattered, which shatters you. And you know, it's like, so to me, the only thing that I know of is knowing who Jesus is on your own personal level. I've had experiences with churches. You know, I tried, you know, like listening to the pastor and following the line. You know, man, it didn't fit me. It wasn't who I was. But going and praying and meditating and being open and honest about what I've experienced, and not looking at this as people are like, man, that's messed up. I get it. If it is, if you hear it, you know what I'm saying? But again, what do I do? What can you do? You know what I'm saying? I no longer want that in the past to determine how I respond in the future. I need that little 11-year-old kid to grow up and match this 46-year-old man now. I need for him to grow up and not be 11 in his responses. And that's where my struggle is, because I know I still respond like the day that I did there. How can I move forward? I think it's to be honest with, I'm still dealing with it. You know, right. I'm still dealing with it. And like I said, I get to see it in my brothers and sisters. And they may say I'm grown. I hear that all the time. My question is, what have you grown into? You know, did you grow crooked? Did you grow distorted? Did you grow upside down? You know, what have you grown into? Mm-hmm. You know, I know what I've grown into, Joe. You know, and he stripped me bare, you know, and he's going to straighten me back up. And the only way I could do this is to be open and honest. That's why I can share all this stuff and not be ashamed of it. You know, it's funny. There's a whole lot more fun. Yeah. I mean, it's sad, you know.
Oh, it's
always
sad,
but man, it's funny. Like, you can't make this up. No. This really happened? Yes. Not only this, there's more.
Yeah, like a commercial. Wait, there's more.
There's more. Yeah. You know, so I you know, this whole prison thing was actually good for me. You know, I can honestly say it was good for me. It was traumatic how it came about. You know, I didn't think I'd survive it. Yeah. But it's good for me, because I get to sit still and raise this 11-year-old boy, you know, and reflect on my responses.
You know, you could have done that on the town.
I mean, I would have preferred to.
Well,
but,
I would have hoped that you would.
Life just chooses otherwise. You know what I'm saying? I can't blame. I got in here because 12 people said we ain't believe in you.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
You know, I don't even blame them.
Yeah. No.
But I'm growing them up. You know. Yeah. And I get to have real conversations with that 11-year-old kid, because I'm older, and I don't want to be 70 years old finally coming to my senses. Yeah. You know, I want to do it as quick as possible, and these conversations and the talks that we have outside of this, they are therapeutic. You know, because I believe that some form we all have something that we can be healed from. And eventually, one day, my family will, you know.
And that's what we're going to end this on. I appreciate you doing this. And we can do it again one day, right?
Yeah. But, you know, I got more stories.
I'm sure. We're going to get to them, too, right? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.